Hello YouTube, my name is Zayn26 and today I'm going to be showing you my Redstone tutorial on minecarts and tracks. First thing up on the list is the three different types of minecarts. First up is the standard minecart. You can put mobs or yourself in it and it will allow you to travel very fast. Next one is the chest minecart. You can place items in it and you can push it along the track and the chest will follow it, so you can keep your items stored and moving. Third one is the furnace minecart, which I can't get to work for some reason or another. What should happen is you right click it and you can put coal in it. Once the coal is put in it, then it allows you to right click it and it will start moving in whichever direction you're pointing. It does, for some reason, work without any coal in it, but it works best with coal in it. Second thing is the power rails. Power rails act a bit like redstone, where they conduct the current. They last 8 blocks before the current dies out. What is important to note is that when powered, they accelerate minecarts, and when unpowered, they slow them down. Also, the factor by which they increase the speed of the minecart does not change, no matter how far the switch is from the powered track. So long as it is powered, it will continue to accelerate the object. And it stops because the offline track acts like a brake. Also, if I turn this off, they will all act like brakes and it will be very difficult to move the minecart around. Next up is the detector rail. It uses a pressure plate on top of a rail track, and it allows you to power objects by placing it on the track, and whenever a minecart with or without an entity in it, or a mob, and any of the 3 minecarts will activate it. It also acts a bit like a clock in some cases, although it's not always reliable, seeing as mobs could jump into it and change how fast it's going. I'll get into mobs later on. Next thing is an auto starter track. I'm not sure how other people use this, but I discovered it on my own. So what happens is you take a block with a button on it, you push that button, it powers these rails. This detector rail won't do anything until it's coming back, and then it will power the rail while it's going in, and then it will cut out the power while it's right around there. The number of powered tracks you use is entirely dependent on how fast you're going when you're coming in. Because if you hit this at high speeds, you will hit the back faster and you'll bounce off and you'll land in the middle of the track. And if you're in the middle of the track, the cart won't go anywhere. Whereas if you're against a block, the cart will go somewhere. It will go the only direction it can. So I will show you how this works. I almost bounced off, but the current cut out at the last second. So if I power it again, I end up in the same spot as where I started. This will work on an infinite loop because it's going the exact same speed when it enters and when it exits, so it doesn't matter if I change these out. Next thing on the list are the various ways to power a powered rail. First off, a torch put next to a redstone wire going into a rail, or simply a torch next to a rail will power it. And obviously a switch will power it. Placing a torch underneath the block with a track on it will also power it. And the detector rails, like here, will power it. So if I turn this on, it will momentarily turn this on and it will continue in an infinite loop. Next up is using this concept here and your ability to change the tracks. I put these torches under all of these powered rails so it doesn't look unsightly by having torches in the middle of everywhere. So by placing track down, you can change the direction it goes or make it into a loop, and you can continue to do this and it will change the direction the track goes. However, if you were to do something like this, you could put a torch here and it would change the direction the track is pointing. That is the concept behind this machine. If I place a cart down and move it onto the track, it will continue in a cycle until I flip this switch, after which it will go onto that track. If I flip this switch, it will go back into the main track, and that works either way. Note that these two tracks are adjacent to the switch, so they're both activated simultaneously. Also, you'll notice that it skipped over the track when it was going over here. Since it's going this way, it has to skip over the track to go straight. This happens on all tracks. For example, it just bounces right back onto the track. Also, it's important to note that these two tracks do not bend like the ordinary tracks do. If you put a track here and you put another track here, they will not bend like a regular track would. This employs the concept that if you unpower and power this, it will change the track's position and power and unpower the booster rails. Circuitry underneath it is simply inverters tied to two switches. These torches power the rails, and when I pull one switch, it changes that track. When I pull the other switch, it changes that track. So instead of a loop here, we have a loop there. Next concept is the fact that you can accelerate a cart uphill. It also employs the fact that you can drop that cart from a distance, and it will not only land on the track, it will also realign itself to go parallel or perpendicular to the track that it came off of. It's also important to note that this block right there is not directly below this one, which is because of momentum. It will carry the track. It should also be noted that if there is not an object in a cart, it will behave differently than if there is. It realigns with the tracks and moves on. However, if I get out of the cart, it lands one block further because of my mass not being there. It will land further. You could also put a track here and another track here, and regrettably I do not have a block in my inventory right now. So I will put this block here, and it will bounce back off that block. Or not. Well, you get the idea. Moving on is exactly how the fact that there's no object in it will affect the cart when it's on a straight line. For example, cart will go almost nowhere without an entity in it. Whereas if I am in the cart, it will go all the way around that loop and back to here. And there are no booster rails to increase my speed, so this is just the raw power from the 4 start boost rails. Also, you should note that my camera is moving by itself to realign with the direction the cart's moving in. It's not actually me changing direction like I am right now. So, the next concept is an interesting one. It's the fact that if you travel directly that way using these carts, using these tracks, you will not bounce back side to side as you might expect. You'll actually travel perfectly straight. Also, because of the Pythagorean theorem, which those of you who don't know is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it is used for right triangles, that is a triangle with a 90-degree angle. Because of that theorem, if you are traveling diagonally, you are actually traveling a lot faster than you would be if you were going the same relative speed on a straight track. This enables you to travel much faster on an identically long track. So you'll note that I'm going perfectly straight right now, and I stopped because of the lack of a booster rail being on. So these are the primary concepts when dealing with minecarts. They're very useful for different applications, such as a clock, or traveling quickly, or simply for roller coasters, which many people employ this specific technique for. So I will see you guys later in my next tutorial, which is on logic gates. I will see you guys later. Please subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you.